Sure.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Indoor Farmer episode 175. It's Monday night, 8:30 Central Time. It's March 10th, 2025. Let's go. We've got springtime coming. We've got a great guest for that tonight. We're going to talk to Luke from Riverview Road Apiary, and we're going to do that in about 3 minutes and 50 seconds. So if you could hit that like button and share it out and tag some friends, we'll play a little intro for you. We'll be right back. Let's grow.
Well, the corner of the city where the wildfire strong and bright lives a man named Waylon with his green thumb at his mic. He's not your typical farmer, no fields, no barn, no plow. His farm's indoors, his harvest shared on the airwaves now. Waylon the indoor farmer with his podcast every night. He's sowing seeds of knowledge, making our world a little more bright. From Sunday through to Thursday, his voice is on the line, bringing folks together, making learning so divine. On Sunday, games are rolling at 5:30 they start. The Indoor Farmers Game Night, where laughter plays a part. Monday brings his story, how he learned to farm and grow. The Indoor Farmer shares his journey, making it a show. With every episode, a chapter of his life, teaching us to live more green, reducing all our strife. Waylon the indoor farmer with his podcast every night. He's sowing seeds of knowledge, making our world a little more bright. From Sunday through to Thursday, his voice is on the line, bringing folks together, making learning so divine. Tuesdays for the reviews of people, places, things. Waylon's got the scoop from artisans to local wings. Wednesday we grow Wednesday, where the mind expands, discussing food and farming with experts from the land. He's not just growing plants, but communities as well. Through his microphone he casts a spell. Thursday, people in the boxes, where stories intertwine, with guests from all walks sharing what they've seen. Each podcast is a seed planted in our mind. Waylon's cultivation of culture and of kind. Waylon the indoor farmer with this podcast every night. He's sowing seeds of knowledge, making our world a little more bright. From Sunday through to Thursday, his voice is on the line, bringing folks together, making learning so divine. So if you're feeling lonely or need a touch of green, tune into Waylon's podcast, where the urban farms the scene. He's not just farming indoors, he's harvesting our thoughts. Waylon the indoor farmer, connecting all the dots. He's not just growing indoors, he's harvesting our thoughts. Waylon the indoor farmer, connecting all the dots. In a cozy corner of the city, where the wildfire's strong and bright, lives a man.
All right, everybody. Hello and welcome back to Monday night. It's the Indoor Farmer episode 175, and we got Luke with us from Riverview Road Apiary. Obviously, you might know him from the being a game night sponsor. We've had him on the show before. I've been to his apiary. We've both been suited up. You know, we've done it all. But there's a few things we've already talked about that is going on that's kind of crazy, and we're going to just kind of catch up with him a little bit later. once we show you a little bit about what's growing on here in the Maccabees live market. If you guys could help us out, hit that like button and share it out if you will. Of course, if we get up to the 50 likes or the 25 live viewers, we'll do a door prize tonight. I'm feeling generous. Let's try to bust the roof off of this thing. Let me pull up the banner. Oh, hey, what's up, Cassandra? Hung out with your husband today. We had fun here, showing him all my plants and whatnot. It was a good time. Shouts out to DC Sweets. All right, we're gonna put a little bit of something on in the background. I'm gonna show you guys what's going on over here, and then we're gonna probably make the number wheel again later on for this week's subscriber giveaway or give back. Let's see. Let's play a little bit of this. There we go. Hey, as you all know, the Indoor Farmer is not just about what I know. It's about journey that I'm taking to try to learn how to become a little more self-sustainable, and that combined with a little bit of trying to make everybody who's doing these kind of things a little bit more popular, a little bit more mainstream, and create this connection in our minds of what is the most important thing that every person on the planet has to deal with. Air, a roof over our heads, nutrition, we all have to eat. And so that's kind of the draw for the show. And I would love to talk about what Luke has growing on a little bit later, because I don't want it to just be about me. This happens to be, that's the bulk of the content that I can offer on a weekly basis. So as the weather gets nice, I'm going to be heading out there in the field, as it were, and be checking out what everybody else has growing on, like the local gardeners or farmers. I'm guessing you probably see a lot of actual farms too, don't you?
I do, yeah. I actually get out to a couple of farms. I'm actually expanding to a couple more spots. I do, we've talked about before, but I take care of bees for people that want bees, that don't have time to take care of them. And our farmers are really busy. And so I actually picked up a couple of spots for that. There's an orchard up north that I'm going to be doing that. And then Neighborhood Farms is another place that I'll be going to this season. So yeah, I get to
Neighborhood Farm.
Yeah,
like it's co-op kind of thing.
No, it's actually called it's NAY Neighborhood Farm. It's north of us. The guy's name's Chris Nay, and they make a killer pizza. So it's further north.
I've expected that after. Okay.
Yeah, they grow all their foods and stuff, and so they have a couple hives out there, 4 or 5 hives. He wants to grow it to like 50, but man, that's a lot of work. It's about a 30-minute drive. It's up near. I want to say near Galesburg, I think.
Galesburg, okay. Yeah, it's about an hour from here.
Yeah. And a small orchard. There's a farmer I'll be helping out, getting some of his bees set up for this year. Jake asked, "Use a source of pollen? Is that part of my harvesting process?" I will be harvesting pollen this year, Jake. I harvest it for my bees, so my mindset is actually for all of our pollinators, not just our bees. I'm sure we'll be talking about that later.
Yeah,
and
sure.
So I have a couple specialized hives that are made specifically for pollen harvesting, and I'll be doing some of that and resell. So yeah, we'll be doing that.
All right. Oh, actually, I forgot. It kind of shuffles it around. So you have to go over here and you have to put it in a list so that you can make it right. Ended up being the same one. Okay. All right. We're going to share I only have a few pictures, guys, and we're going to dive into the bees. I still, one of my favorite bee facts, doesn't really have anything to do with bees, sort of, is actually about bears, because my son loves Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
I don't tell him this, but I tell other people this, that bees don't actually eat honey. Like they eat it, but they're not going for the honey, which I think you taught me all of this. It's about the larva, the honey larva. So
yeah, the pollen, the pollen.
Larva.
Yeah. So they eat different things in different stages of their life. So bears don't go much for the honey. They do a little bit. It's carbohydrates. But they eat a lot of the pupa and larva for protein.
I see lots of questions about bees, guys. Give me a few minutes here. Like I said, I don't have a whole lot to show you, but let me show you what I got growing on first, guys. I see one from Elisa May I'd like to talk about, the herbal infused. because there's actually a kind of a misconception about infused honey, and a lot of times it really just depends on where the bees are pollinating or where they're at, and I like that whole factoid. So we'll get into it, but let me show you here. This is just my cutting board. I threw this is almost everything I have growing that I can eat. And, I throw it in a little soup, put it on a sandwich. About half of this I put in my soup, and the other half I chopped up small enough. I basically build a salad onto my sandwich. Nice. Instead of lettuce. I think lettuce is boring. Honestly, I think if you can put in, because what I'll do, and obviously this is not the end goal of nutrition, guys, but I'll buy like a deli sandwich at Kroger or whatever, and it's got a little lettuce on it already. And like, okay, that's for color, I guess. Yeah. It's not for anything else. And so now I'll just add all this stuff on there. And so, kind of beefing up the sandwich a little bit, if you will.
Yeah, one of my favorite foods ever is pesto. And you got that basil there. You got that basil plant over there. Pesto.
I don't know anything about pesto. I just know it's a sauce, right?
No, it's basil. It's basically ground up basil and pine nuts. That's it.
What do you do with
olive oil. Pesto, you use as a spread. Or you can use as a dip.
It's kind of green, I think.
Yeah, it's real green. It's got a real nice kind of nutty, nice aromatic. It's really nice.
What was the nut that you said you added to it?
Pine nuts.
Pine nuts.
Yeah.
I've never, I've heard of them, but I don't think I've ever seen
little tiny things. They're kind of off yellow. It's really making the blender super easy to do.
I'll have to get some because basil. So far of all the things I've grown in that aquaponics system, basil and green peppers are the two that just love it in there.
Yeah,
they just love it.
I have an aquaponics little tiny one, and I've got jalapenos that are on year 2. Man, those things grow awesome.
So I got these green onions from the store. That's the only thing here that didn't grow from seeds, but they are growing in my system. I buy them from the store and I plant them, and then they grow bigger and grow more shoots. And I can't get them to propagate yet, though. Anybody that's been watching the show long enough, they know I love these green onions, but I can't leave them alone long enough for them to do something.
Yeah, to go to seed.
I don't know which ones these do. I've heard different things. I've heard some green onions that they call them walking onions, where they will bend over and then sprout again and keep doing that. Like they sprout wherever they touch the soil. I don't know the details, but those are the microgreens here are radishes. And that's just more basil I had chopped up. But this is broccoli. So obviously I'm not growing broccoli I would sell at a farm or something at a market, but that's all still like nutritious. That's all broccoli still. I don't know the ratio. Maybe there's something different about this. Maybe it's not quite as nutritious as if the plant was healthier and grew less stressful.
I don't know.
People have been watching this the last few weeks, seeing that I've got broccoli just going crazy, where the flowers start shooting up everywhere, and
you've got one over there. The yellow flowers, it's really pretty.
And actually, the flowers are edible. We looked it up, and the edible flowers are a little sweet, and they actually have a lot of nutrients in them, so they're good for you.
Have you paintbrushed them? Take a paintbrush and go pollinate them yourself. Have you tried that?
I haven't even thought about pollinating them.
Yeah,
I don't need them to make seeds, so I just wanted them to make a nice full head of broccoli.
Okay.
But instead, what they would do is they'd start forming that broccoli head, and it was kind of like, I knew it would get bigger than that. I've seen full size broccoli heads, and I thought, okay, let it go a little longer, and boom, it's just going to the legs. Yes, that's good. That's a good way to say it.
Yeah.
Speaking of legs, look at all these tiny little ones. This is actually from a few days ago. No, this is from yesterday. See how it's more yellow than it is today?
Yeah.
I don't think I took a new picture.
You got a lot of green in it today. Right down the middle.
I should have taken a new picture. But so I basically messed it up. I'm going to have to get my friend from Stewart Microgreens on again. That's where I got the seeds from. But I left the lid on there a little bit too long, probably a day or too long. I don't know. I'll have to keep trying it, what do you call it? Trial and error. That's it.
Yeah.
Trial by fire. That's not the term.
Sometimes it is. Depends on how serious it is.
Yes. Well, that's also kind of how it feels to me, because I'm like, I just have to do it. Try it and do it. Yeah. And if I forget a step, I'll have to try to remember that step next time. Some people will study more ahead of time and just, try to read up everything about something. And I like to do things and see what happens, but it's also stressful.
Yeah.
So this is brown spicy mustard. We picked it out on Monday a few weeks ago, and I was like, okay, we'll use this one. That's cocoa core as the medium.
How much do you have to use distilled water for that?
I give it water from the fish tank.
Okay. So it's going to have a lot of nutrients in it.
I bottom feed though. If you water enough in the bottom on the under tray, it will soak up into the tray above it from underneath. Okay. Instead of, this is something I learned from Stuart Microgreens. Shouts out. I learned that he prefers not. Some do. A lot of professionals will water from the top, like a spray water of some kind. But like he says, is when you spray it all, it gets wet and clumps together. Yeah. And it there's just different issues with it being wet, and it also will fall down. Excuse me,
Alyssa's got a question here too. It's the whole thought yellow nitrogen.
It wouldn't be in this case, Elisa, because when the seeds first sprout, these seeds have and this goes for every plant. The seeds have everything that plant needs for a good portion of the sprouting. I would say it varies per plant, of course, on how far it'll take them. But there's enough nutrients in that seed that should get it. I should be able to give it just water, and that's what most of them do. Yeah. Because you're not leaving them alive long enough. And actually, I the last time I did this, I was giving them just water way longer than they should just be okay with that. But I think I also had soil in there and not cocoa coir. And of course, cocoa coir doesn't have any nutrients, and so soil would be a little different story. But
well, that picture doesn't really do it justice as what it is today. Today, it's got a nice green right down the middle. It's got a really nice green carpet down the middle, I guess.
It looks a lot better of a carpet than the last time I tried this. We'll say that. I think it's an improvement for sure.
Nice.
Well, I didn't see this, Joe. E. coli inhabitants.
Oh yeah.
Inhabitants. So many recalls on lettuce. Interesting.
Yeah, actually, they do an interview with the person that's in charge of lettuce and like our recalls and stuff, and they ask them during the interview if they would eat chopped lettuce, bagged chopped lettuce, and they say no. They actually say no due to the amount of E. coli and other issues that we have out there. So yeah, if you watch, lettuce is one of the highest E. coli callbacks that we have.
I mean, we just said too, there's not really a reason to eat it unless it's like that fresh. You're getting it at the farmer's market, all the different colors, the purples and stuff, and you're getting, I don't know what you'd get more out of that, but basic just iceberg lettuce, like Chris said a minute ago in the chat. It just doesn't have anything in it.
Have you seen the little live lettuces that Kroger sells right now? They're like little plastic containers.
I think I have. Yeah, they got the roots on them.
I've always wanted to plant one of those. I don't know if anybody else has planted them. I've always wanted to plant one of those and see if they actually take off.
Tell us in the comments if anybody's used one of those store-bought from the grocery store where they have the living.
So I've used it lettuces in my fridge, and it lasts for a couple weeks in the fridge. But
so let me just explain what we're looking at here. I think I took a picture from last week as well on this, but this is a piece of Panda film that I finally started to cut. I cut off the roll that I have, and it's going to go in this room on the rafters on the ceiling, and then I'm going to put hooks in the rafters for this grow light right here. This grow light, as you can see, it has 10 bars. It's not a small grow light.
1,200 watts. Nice.
Yeah, it's a good size one. It's going to cover this whole area pretty much by itself. I don't see any reason why I need anything else. I do want to put Panda film on the floor too. It might be kind of slippery though. I'm a little worried about that, but a lot of people do. I guess it gets a little dirty over time. It's not going to be as slippery, but it's one thing I think about. But for right now though, I've actually flowered in this room, which flowering with cannabis, it takes about 8 weeks. Give or take, and that has been successful in this room. But the issue is when you're, and a lot of growers will agree to this, that grow inside with cannabis specifically, is when you're controlling the environment, they go all out. Like if money's not an object, these guys have built these grow rooms with some state-of-the-art equipment, with the exhaust, air in and air out, and actually seal everything in. Now, I thought I wanted to do that, but this area over here on the right, which I've shown a few times on the show, this I can't decide two things: where the door would be and how to cover this up. Like
because you want to control humidity in there too, or
that's one thing: humidity, temperature. the airflow, so many things that can be beneficial by really sealing the area in 100%. One of the things is that like pest control is way easier when you have that room, because then you're the only input, you're the only thing coming in and out. Or obviously whatever nutrients and things like that. But I say I have dog that husky that sheds, and there's some ways to sort of mitigate that. If I have an open area, you have to rely more on the plant health at that point.
Sure.
The strength of that plant when it's healthy, when you maybe use some mitigation techniques, like a few things, like I could put some plants in pots around there that are companion plants that are pest repellent.
Sure.
Little basil, little mint, something like that.
Yeah.
I could put a little garden around if I wanted to. Some people do that. I could put good guy bugs in there. You got ladybugs and praying mantis. There's a beetle that somebody posted about recently. I can't remember the name of the beetle, but there's a beetle they said is better than ladybugs to put in there. It's a bigger beetle. For just in general pests, they eat bugs instead of plants, which is kind of the basic method of thinking of good guy pests, good guy bugs. Yeah. But the method I would like to use is a little combination. So I also do a spray, a foliar spray with something called Prime Superior, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep the store I got it from went out of business, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to get more of it. There's other products that are pretty organic or okay to use.
So the overall goal is to have like a totally organic grow room with something to control the humidity and temperature too, or is temperature just you're going to rely on that? I mean, we're in a basement, right? So
we're in a basement.
Pretty good.
It would be better if I had temperature control in there, just in case. And so that's that. Then you're getting down to the minutia of the tiny bits where I can improve. Right now, a big place where I can improve is just this one piece on the ceiling, and then getting the grow light up, because then I have a surface that I can clean. I can spray, not just the fact that the white will help reflect light, but also that I now have like a nice surface that I can spray with you could use bleach, but I'm trying to move more towards vinegar to clean things. You can just spray it, and wipe it down instead of trying to clean the rafters. Like that's going to be a big pain in the butt. So I want something that I can really clean and reset properly. Like if the grow's done, then I want to be able to just go in there like a hazardous waste hazmat crew, like, and just be like, just clean it down. Yeah. But that's kind of the thought. So, it sucks because I can grow the way it is now, but I'm trying to improve in any way. The reason I have this picture though is that I meant to get this put up today, but tomorrow my friend DC is coming back over. Hey, Stuart Microgreens, speak and he shall appear. Are you still hanging out here? Let me know if you're hanging out. I'd like to show you the microgreens that I'm growing now. I want to get you back on the show as well so that I can pick your brain about that as I move forward. But yeah, my friend DC Sweets is coming back over tomorrow, and we're gonna try to get that put up. I have a double-sided foam like anchor tape that you would use for like pictures and stuff, and it's the heavy duty strength one, so it should be enough. I'm gonna just every rafter, and I hesitate also, and you guys know this, some of you guys know this by now. I have anxiety, it's one of the biggest things I'm disabled with. I just can't ever decide on things. And for me, it gives me anxiety thinking of the wrinkles that are going to be inevitable on this as I try to, by myself, try to get it up on the ceiling. I'm like, I can't do it. So anyway, hopefully with another set of arms, it'll help.
You had somebody on there that said that they know where to get the stuff you were using. Where's he at? Right here, Jake.
Jake, yes. Jake was a co-host of the show for a little while.
Knows where to get Prime still. So that's pretty awesome.
Oh, cool. I figured I could also talk to Jimmy Mead as well. So a lot of comments, guys. Well, I can't keep up with all those comments. We'll have to check them out here in a little bit. But here's the grow table. I wanted to show this angle because this area where my mouse is, this whole corner, is literally just full of like plant scraps. I took down, you see all the broccoli now, like there were 3 or 4 more stalks bigger than those that I had already been eating off of. Yeah. and I finally just chopped them out, and there's one still right there.
So do you have worms in here too?
There's worms all inside this.
Nice.
with arthropods or roly-polies.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I told you about one of the 2 cannabis plants that had died because the roots stopped taking up water. It just kind of like
one of the hybrids, itself. Right?
It was one of the clones.
Clones. Okay.
Clone. And so I took that soil. I had just planted it in there, so it was good soil still. And I took it out, and it was all still wet. Even I put it in here on top of the broccoli scraps, and there were several worms in it. And I was like, awesome! They're gonna be right at home here, and they're gonna transfer over nicely. You can see that. I don't know if I took a picture of the aquaponics system, but you see my pineapple still kind of. I wouldn't say it's loving life, but it's still growing. The basil's still loving life. Man, the basil just loves it in there. It's green as green can be. It doesn't care what the pH is.
No.
Oh, I meant to grab that. Maybe I'll try it later if we have time. I usually do a pH test. Since I had been having trouble keeping the pH down because of all the fish.
Sure.
There's a lot of alkalinity going on, or a lot of acidity with the urine.
Yeah.
And I was having such a trouble. I was using pH down. And I tried different things this week. Okay, before next week, I'll try doing more of it once a day or twice a day.
Sure.
And you can't lower pH too fast. The fish actually will get shocked if you go too fast.
Yeah.
And so I was struggling, and so finally I went to this place called the Fish Geek in Peoria. Shouts out to Dan. And I got some driftwood.
Yep.
I also got some. I forget what the equalizer or something. It helps to remineralize the water.
Yeah.
But since I put the driftwood in there, I haven't had the pH is just boom. It's good.
Nice.
It just maintains it.
I have a Placo. He's about. I've had 2 in the last 20 years. The first one died at 12 years old, and this last one's probably about 8. And he's about a foot long. If I put driftwood in my tank, he chews the hell out of it. It just doesn't last.
He chews it up.
Oh yeah,
I never thought about that.
They chew it up, and actually, he doesn't have any fish in there with him because he eats all the fish with him. So he's kind of a pain in the butt. They're a huge issue in Japan because people let them go in the streams, and now they're all over. The armored catfish, I think is what they're technically called. I don't know.
Armored catfish?
Yeah, Lacostomus.
Gee, oh okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, mine's a sailfin, so he's like when he stands up with all of his fins out, he's probably this tall, and he's about a foot long.
The Lacostomas are not usually recommended for the algae eating anymore because they're kind of lazy. They just
when they're young, they eat a ton of algae, and when they're old, he doesn't care anymore.
So speaking of the fish, I used to, for years now, painstakingly take a half-gallon pitcher and dip it in there and get water out of the fish tank, trying not to get the fish. And when the fish come in, I get them pulling back out. Finally, I got off of the pot, so to speak, and I came over and I got a small pump, a little 100 PSI or whatever the 100 means, 100 gallon. I'm not sure what the 100 is. It's a small one.
Okay.
And I ran a hose over here, and so now it's not perfect irrigation. I think eventually I'd like a hose that has holes in it all the way down, and then maybe get a stronger pump, and then run the hose kind of permanently through the table. But for now, I can take as much water out of there as I want now. Just plugging the hose in. It's so much more convenient. Man, I can't believe it took me so long to do this.
Should lower some of your nitrogen levels too, especially if you're running it off the bottom, right? It's
not all the way down, but that's probably a good idea. But now the water the other pump is running from the bottom that goes up into the aquaponics system.
There you go.
And it's a bigger pump too. But like you saw that 65-gallon aquarium I have upstairs.
Yeah.
Once I put that in line with this, I do have another pump already ready. That's a much larger, but it's a huge pump. Actually, it might be too big. So there's that. I'm gonna have a way to expand. I just don't know if I can do that in this room. I might be able to get rid of that shelf unit and stuff, and maybe
move it over as soon as you get your microgreens going, and you got two shelves full microgreens.
Yeah, I need that. I need more.
Yeah,
eventually. All right, I think we're getting close to the last pictures here. That's my sweet potatoes. They are like growing towards the light, but also it's got to be harvest time soon. I've never grown sweet potatoes, and they do take quite a long time.
Yeah.
But these have been growing for like way over time. I'm just going to dig them out. I've got some potatoes from Smasher's garden that she sent me that are purple. Can't wait to grow those. So I got to just dig this out, find out, whatever there's in there is in there, and move it out. That's what this bin is for, in the table, to give an area with deeper soil that I can grow things like potatoes.
So it's got a bottom in there too, or no?
This has a bottom, but there's a bunch of holes in the bottom.
Oh, okay.
So it gives there's drainage.
Root path. Yeah, you can just shake it on the table too, right? An easy way to harvest those potatoes.
Shake it on the table. That's a good idea. Might be too heavy to do that. I'll probably rip out all the vines, probably get some that way. Yeah. I actually grabbed a few potatoes the other day by accident. I was in there, roughing up the soil, and boom, grabbed a big one. I found like 3 regular potatoes and 2 sweet potatoes just by playing around in the soil.
Nice.
Ate them already. And there is the Jezebel. I forgot the farm that this came from. I actually have a pack of these seeds. Red 6. Is Red 6 in the house? Somebody tag Red 6. Kindway Farms. There it is, Jezebel. That's the strain that this.
So I was talking to a friend that says that because it used to be that seeds and stems and everything were always in like whatever you bought, but now because it's all commercialized, getting seeds is really difficult.
It's a different thing. It's a separate thing. I have to get seeds, and then I can go and get plants that are already, like, some people like to go get plants that are already growing.
Yeah.
Like flowers, or even at greenhouses, or even at farmers markets. You can get a lot of different veggies and stuff that are started. But the seeds is a different thing. To start seeds, some people have a hard time getting them to start too.
Really?
So this clone, just Red 6 gave it to me, and along with the other one. And I didn't ask for it, but it's going crazy, and I thought, oh, okay, we'll give it a shot. I actually wasn't planning to grow anything at that time, so it's literally growing between 2 grow lights. It doesn't have any light of its own.
Huh.
Like you see, it's kind of close enough.
So is that all right? So for everybody that doesn't know, like I don't know anything about marijuana. In fact, it was after last time I was on that I tried a first edible. And that was an interesting experience. But is that leggy? Is that normal? Is that a normal grow? Does it normally?
I've seen them a little bushier than that. Okay. But it is stretching a little bit, but it's not. I've seen them stretch way worse. And plus, if you can see here, I topped them since last week. I took a good portion off. I think right here maybe.
Yeah.
And that's going to push it back energy into the base. It'll grow up. They'll grow up, but it'll also do is the lower branches will get time to come up and sort of match the height of the taller branches.
Okay.
And if that happens, then you have a more bushed out plant versus a sort of the TP shaped like Christmas tree plant that you might have if you just leave it alone.
Does it increase the flowers?
Yeah, I mean, we're indoors, so what I want is I don't want it as tall as I want it wide, because I got more room wide than I do tall. And the other reason is you want more colas, which are the very top bud on the top of the top branches is usually the most potent and the biggest as well. And if you can give yourself more top branches, then you end up with more of those colas. Yeah, so you kind of you trim it in such a way that, and everybody's different. People will do different things. I can see people do bonsai trees. Like they'll curve them and do all kinds of weird things.
Yeah, now, you wire them actually.
Yes,
a lot of the bonsai you have to run
people do that too.
Mm-hmm. But you can probably do that with any plant. Actually, I know you can do that with any plant.
Yeah, I actually have had lettuce vining because of the way that I was trimming it. Like, I didn't know anything about it, but the way it was stretching to the light, and I was also taking off the leaves, and it would just keep stretching out. And so I basically grew this like sort of vine of lettuce. Like, what's happening there? I don't know if it's good or bad, but it happened. So real quick though, while we have Stuart Microgreens still here, I want to go back. Actually, okay, here it is. So I knew I had a full-size picture here. So there's my current tray. I can go back to a cleaner picture here in a minute, but yeah, I can grow a lot more. I don't know. I'm afraid to grow too many at once. Need more grow lights. I think one or these two here. I couldn't find the clips to these grow lights, so I don't know how I'm going to hang them up. But maybe get new clips. I don't know. I'll find them somewhere. And that's the problem with buying equipment way before you need to use it.
Oh, absolutely.
And if you just have it sitting around.
Same with the beekeeping. You should see my side garage, right? I have a ton of equipment that's just sitting there and every once in a while I'll find something and be like, oh yeah, I bought that. That'd be a good idea.
Yeah, don't I have that? Yeah. Or you forget you have it. Like I have a shelf over there that's got like temperature control or temperature gauges, or thermometers.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was going to say, but there's a few other things on that shelf. I'm like, I should be using these timers and stuff like that.
Yeah. Thermocouples and stuff.
Okay. Can I turn this? Good. So I took a close-up of this. Let's see if Stewart Microgreens can tell us a little bit about what that sort of webbing is in between all the plants. Those are just like fine roots, right? Those are fine roots. I left the lid on too long, probably a day too long, maybe 2 days. Grow as many as you want. Well, yes, I'm sure you want me to buy more seeds. I'm just kidding. You want me to buy more seeds? Is that it? Now, this tray is one full pack that you sent me of the brown mustard seeds. Although I don't remember what it was, 2 ounces or 1 ounce. I'm gonna have to up my seed purchase. What do you think about this? There is a delay, so I'm kind of just waiting to see what he says. Hey, shouts out to the Rumblers. Got 17 live Rumble viewers right now. 31 elsewhere.
What's your guess? Oh, it's mold.
You think that's mold?
Yeah. I would guess it is mold. Carbon. Oh, really? Just hydrogen peroxide?
Spray with. Yeah, he's big on peroxide. I sprayed it with peroxide when I first started them. You think that doesn't look like mold? It looks like a web. It kind of looks like mold, but
that's how mold grows.
I've seen it fuzzy mold, but I've also seen like.
Is it over the whole thing, or is it only that area?
Yeah, I think it's the whole thing. I don't know why though. Like I didn't get them extra wet, so I don't know. Maybe it's because I kept the cover on too long. And the plants they put out a lot of they perspire.
Yeah,
so
and mold thrives in the dark, right? Dark wet. That's mold.
I think so.
That's weird. Yeah.
But he says I could probably spray them down with some peroxide.
That doesn't hurt the plants at all?
No, it's good for the roots.
Okay,
that's good for the roots. And that's weird. Oh, camera picked me up. I didn't ask it to do that. Could you?
It's all right.
Yeah, but now it feels weird. Like you're kind of on the outside edge of the frame. Like you're an afterthought of the frame. Come on, camera. Don't make me do the Z Kyle over here. Okay, there we go. It's crazy. I swear China did that when they designed this thing. They were like, what would be the funniest thing? They have to raise their hand straight out. That's the signal that makes it work. Like, man, what? I literally one day it wasn't working. I was up here doing that. And I'm like finding better angles to do it without making my hand straight out like that. It's just stupid. Thanks, China. Plants are too old for root hairs. Oh, I see. Resubscribe. Yeah, Chris, everyone should resubscribe. Go check it out at the indoorfarmer.locals.com. And I see you over on the Rumble. You guys can click that join button. It sends you directly over there. Okay, that's all I had going on right now. Clearly, I need to go and spray some peroxide on my microgreens after this. Peroxide is basically water with another. Yep, you're right. It actually does help the roots in general. I don't know if there's like a range on what plants it's good for or not, but I know it helps oxygenate the roots and helps get them clean, especially if you're root bound or if your roots are a little bit unhealthy or diseased, like they're yellow or they're kind of unhealthy in different ways. It's good. Peroxide's good for.
Well, I just remember as a kid, right? I felt like they use peroxide. You get a cut, they use peroxide for anything. And it actually damages your tissue if you use it too early. So it can be rough on us.
There's lots of airflow and a dehumidifier right next to it. that's keeping everything at 55%, which is below what mold can grow at.
So it could be just that you had it on for too long and didn't have the airflow and
The
stuff.
cover, yeah. Now Adam thinks it could be mycelium. Now mycelium is a like kind of like mushrooms or a fungus network.
Yep. They found out all kinds of neat stuff about it recently, where it
Noticed
communicates
that,
to each other.
Beneficial for the plant if kept under control. The black stuff is no, but yeah, I mean, I don't think I want powdery mildew. That's a big one with cannabis that people will get is powdery mildew.
Really?
And that might be why it didn't look like mold to me, because the mold that you get on like a piece of fruit in the fridge would be big and fuzzy, right? But when you get the powdery mildew, or PM for short, on cannabis, it's just a little white powder. Looks like a little dusting of your plant, and then it gets worse. Of course, I think that might be just because you're seeing it when it first starts, and most people aren't letting their plant go until it gets fluffy. But when you undercover its greenhouse effect, yeah, that's true. Yep, I was like 2 days too long, maybe, or a day long. Well, yeah, I'll check that out. I think you're right with the peroxide. The plants themselves look good. It's just down in the roots area, so I don't eat that anyway. But anyway, what's going on here? What do we have that we brought? I
brought some gifts. Yeah. So honey, we talked about it last time, right? Honey has different flavors based on the plant it's from, right? And somebody actually early on said they got some infused honey, some herbal infused honey. Infusion in Illinois, which is where we're based, we're based at, and it's actually not something I'm legally allowed to do unless I had a certified kitchen. So, like, if I have a certified kitchen, which I can run basically a restaurant out of, I can't add anything to them. But I brought you something anyway that has stuff added to it. So this is a hot honey. It is made by a friend of mine it's my honey, and then he grows his own peppers locally. So it's a nice kind of a amber. That's probably a fall honey. The liquidity in there it's viscous, right? Right, because it's got quite a bit of vinegar in there to keep it shelf stable. Right. So I love it on chicken and stuff. I didn't bring any chicken or anything else to try it on, but that's probably
chicken.
That's probably the hottest. That's probably the hottest of the honeys that I have. So I don't know if
a huge spicy guy though. Tell him that you said the honey kind of cuts it a little bit.
The honey cuts the top of the spice off. I'm a spice guy though. I believe there's reapers in there, which are a little bit warmer than you think. So we can try that last. We'll try that last.
Yes.
Let's try it last.
Well, I mean, actually, maybe first, because then the rest of it can help me taste. Can help me out.
You may not taste the rest of them then.
Touche.
Right?
Yeah, that's true. True.
So I also brought some other ones in here too.
Sheena.
I brought a black sage, which is really medicinal tasting.
Still tastes good. Nice.
An orange blossom, which is pretty good. And then I brought some. We talked about it before. I just actually got back from the Yucatan Peninsula where I work with the Mayans there. There are some beekeepers.
Mayan beekeepers.
I'm trying to talk them into actually keeping Mayan bees instead of Western honeybees. It's a different honeybee. So they have a stingless.
You're telling me they don't keep Mayan honeybees?
They don't keep Mayan honeybees. No, they only Mayan honeybees produce like a liter of honey a year compared to like the Western honeybee, which will produce like.
So you're asking them to keep them in addition to what they have?
Yeah. To get back to the roots, right? Because it's actually the god of all the Mayan gods is the honeybee god.
Well, that seems a little disconnected then.
It does.
Well, it sounds like though that maybe they're just going for volume, but is it different?
Yeah,
that's what we're about to find out.
This is just Western honeybee honey from the Yucatan Peninsula from a flower called the Tahoe flower. So I brought you. This is like a summer honey and a fall honey too. So this is like goldenrod honey. So we got all kinds of honeys to try, and then I've got a bunch to talk about what's going on with the honeybee world because it's scary what's happening.
All right, well, give me a dab of that honey and we'll talk about it.
Let's start with the light stuff. Let's start with the orange blossom, right? Because everyone's actually had orange blossom honey before.
Okay.
Or that's the one that's real famous.
So, I want to also point out though too, not just that there might be something in the news, but
orange blossom honey is good.
But spring is right now, basically. I was gonna say around the corner, but it's happening now. So, not just getting your garden ready, but thinking about those pollinators right now for everybody who's like, bees are important, but yet you kind of separate your thoughts when you go, oh, I need to get my garden ready for this year.
Absolutely.
Think about maybe throwing a couple things in there that bees like. I think marigolds are one thing that everyone knows, but there's probably some other important.
Actually, for those that don't have time, if you just let dandelions grow in your yard and some clover grow in your yard, that's a huge benefit, right? There's lots of people, like the 50s and 60s, rolled out this idea of the perfect yard. And during that time, right after World War II, and that caused all these like huge areas of just green grass. If I could actually talk to like somebody that does lawns and could talk people to, hey, we're just gonna do a section of clover or things like that, that's huge for all of our pollinators. Oh yeah, actually I sent her some honey.
Yeah, real quick, Chris, she's not here tonight. You don't have to worry about subscribing tonight, brother. We can figure that out for tomorrow. I'm going to get the post made later on the show for you guys, but I won't be doing a spin tonight right now. So don't worry too much about that. Brandy is the awesome helper I have on game night now. She comes in here in studio to help me get it,
nice.
keep
everything organized and stuff.
Yeah, it's a big help, that's for sure.
So the orange blossom honey has clover honey is super popular, especially because we have so much of it in our area. Like we have a lot of clover in the Midwest.
So I shouldn't keep this, right?
No, we can toss them.
It's gonna mess up the flavor.
So for this one, if you taste right at the end, it had like a nice little orange touch to it, and a real high sweetness to it, and that's real common for orange blossom honey. This next one we're gonna try is called black sage. This is, I will admit, this is not my favorite honey, and I bought these from Savannah Bee Company. Savannah Bee Company is one of the largest honey sellers in the United States. They don't make all this honey, they bring in their honey. The honey that I have is actually my honey. This one should have like a medicinal almost flavor to it. It's not, it may be licorice. Not really, I don't remember. I'm gonna try some myself.
I would say licorice.
Yep. A little bit of black.
Taste the wood. That's
a little bit of black licorice. But if you're like black licorices, right?
Okay.
If you like those, I'm not a big fan of licorice, but if you're looking for licorice, black sage, it's pretty good.
I think that would go good with peanut butter, although I'm guessing any one of these would go good with peanut butter.
Yeah. Once you mix it with stuff, you kind of lose the high-end flavor.
There's DC right there, man. Thanks for popping over today. It was good to meet you. Honey with hot peppers are perfect for those who have colds or flu. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's this one here that we'll try.
High in vitamin C. Is that because of the pepper, or is it
the pepper? The pepper is high in vitamin C.
Right, that's true, I guess.
All right, so this is Tahoe Now honey. This is going to be different than all the ones we tried before. So this is the Mayan one, and it helps reduce congestion. Yeah, there's not CBD honey, Chris. Here, we'll click on that one. Question is there CBD honey? There is CBD infused honey, but there's not CBD honey. The reason why there's not CBD honey is because marijuana plants don't actually produce a lot of nectar. They produce some pollen, but largely bees won't go to them. So
and even if they do, they're not getting
nectar. So nectar is honey. I almost wore a shirt about that, but
I thought you were going to say you almost wore some of that honey just now.
No, I've worn plenty of honey. So this one
is good. I like this.
Yeah, but it's different. It's
hard to describe.
Yeah, it's kind of a green. I say if bees could dream of like what a mowed lawn smells like that's kind of what it would be. Kind of, maybe not quite. Maybe a little bit
necessarily earthy, but natural.
Yeah.
Huh. It's hard to find the words on that one.
Yeah,
I liked it though. It definitely tasted different.
That one's called Tahoe Now.
I almost need another one to tell, but maybe after the.
We can do the hot one, or we can try my local ones. We can do my local one. So I have a fall one, which is goldenrod. Which when we talk about earthy, that is the earthiest of your honeys that you're going to get.
Okay.
And this is a clover honey that's got a little bit of crystallization. All honey crystallizes. I don't know if you guys can see it.
I have some in my cupboard that's crystallized.
And all you have to do is put it in hot water, and it'll change it right back overnight.
Didn't you say though that if you leave it crystallized and then use it as like a sugar?
Yeah, you can use it as a spread and stuff. Yeah, I sell crystallized honey too. It's called creamed honey.
It's kind of like, I don't know why, it reminds me of peanut butter when it's dried up at the okay, so let me back up. I've been buying organic peanut butter.
Okay.
So at the top you have that oil, and then you have to mix it all in, and it's kind of runny a little bit. You know, you keep mixing, and as you use the the jar of honey, and as you get down to the bottom, even if you've mixed it the whole time, you get to this sort of like thicker consistency at the bottom.
Yeah, it's kind of
even
crusty.
though I've got my knife all the way at the bottom, but it's okay. It's just a little thicker, and but it kind of reminds me of that, but not exactly. Let me lick that. Okay, well, I'll bring you some honey at Irish Fest this weekend. Let's go.
Nice. All right, so let's try. We'll save the hot till the end.
Is it this weekend or next weekend? Sorry.
Should be, well.
It's in I think it's the 15th. That's this weekend.
Should be this weekend.
Yeah.
Then.
Okay.
All right. So this is fall honey. I'm going to give you fall honey. This is, to be honest, this is my least favorite. Everyone has different tastes. Some people only buy this from me. This is
really?
This is going to be goldenrod honey. It's darker.
Does honey have a smell, you think?
It does. It has more antioxidants the darker the honey is.
Oh.
So it's better for you. It's going to have a nice sweet front, and then at the end it's like earthy, farmy flavor.
Sweet is very subtle too. There's that earthy.
Yep. It shows up right at the end, and some people love it, and I'm like, the bees can have it. I almost never harvest it.
Tastes like you're out at the farm or something.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It tastes like a farm. It smells kind of.
Yes. It's terrible, but it's still honey, so I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
This weekend, that's right. Make Waylon sweet. Give him the Reaper. Oh, he's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming.
We're gonna save that for last.
Yep.
So, guys, hit that like button before I hit that. I am not trying that Reaper honey unless we've got 40 likes at least. We're at 31 right now. I'm trying to give something away as well, but if I tell you what, I got to keep reminding myself, I will give this away if we get to 50 live viewers in the house from our local grow shop, Level Up Seed and Garden Supply. It's Mario with a little joint in his mouth.
All right, so this is clover honey. You probably had clover honey. It's got a little bite to it, so it probably has something else in it.
Man, I'm still tasting a pigsty from that last.
I
feel like I was just at Wildlife Prairie Park.
That's why I don't really like it. I will say that there are people who love it, but
I think I'm in agreement with you on it.
Yep.
This tastes like a jelly donut.
Yeah, it's got a nice, this is actually probably largely soybean because it's so sweet.
Really?
Yeah, soybeans are super sweet.
Never think of soybean as sweet.
Their nectar is like some of the sweetest nectar around.
I also don't think about beets as sweet, but we also most of us eat sugar from beets that we never think about.
Yeah.
Sugar beets or whatever they call it.
And this has a little bit of burn in the back of my throat, which usually means I'm allergic to whatever this pollen that's in here is.
Huh. You have an allergy to pollen? You probably told me that before, but
oh yeah, I'm allergic to it.
Seems like although that's a weird conundrum because local honey is, maybe we talked about this before, but isn't local honey supposed to help you with allergies?
It is.
Certain allergies.
It helps you if it has the pollen in it that you're allergic to. Over a long term, it's supposed to help you. Realistically, what I found helped me the most is moving out of the country.
Are pants required?
What? I have no idea what's going on.
With clove, dandelion, and goldenrod flowers fermented, added to water and feed my plant. Okay, that's awesome, Joe. What's up, Daryl?
All right,
what do you got here?
This is the hot one.
Okay.
I believe it's called Scorched Road.
Hit that like button. I'm about to burn my mouth for you guys. We're only at 32. I need another 8 likes.
Well, maybe we'll just wait then. We'll just wait until the.
Yeah, that could take forever.
All right, let's go for it.
People who like me are already here, so forget the rest.
All right.
Oh, immediate hot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
It's a little warm, and it kind of grows. So,
You'll have to finish out the shelf.
So if you guys know Blackbeard Canning, he's a local canner that grows and cans some of this stuff.
So what does he do? Like he takes honey that's already honey.
You take honey, you add, he usually makes a hot sauce, adds the hot sauce to it, and then you just mix it. And you usually add a little bit of vinegar to get the pH correct.
Oof.
It is warm and it grows on you.
Is it hot in here? Someone like, are you high? No, my eyes are just watering. Can't see.
So I really like it with like a protein, chicken, maybe beef, but chicken is.
I
what
can see a nice
like.
chicken Cajun kind of feel to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say you could mix with that to like cut the bite a little bit?
Oh, just more honey. You just
other honey.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. But it's warm.
Yeah.
Right. It's a Reaper. It's a Reaper based honey. So a Reaper based sauce that went into it before.
I tell you what, though, I actually have grown. I don't know if it's an age thing, but I've grown more into liking spicier foods.
Yeah.
As I got older, I don't mind. I like jalapenos. Like if they have a jalapeno.
Yeah, but jalapeno depends. Like it can be hit and miss. I tend to find usually how much water I've given my plants. So if there's a dry summer, my jalapenos can be eye watering. But
that can change that. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I've also heard if you grow peppers or hot peppers in the same soil over and over, something, I forget the reasoning, but there's something about that will actually make them get hotter and hotter and hotter. So I had a friend of mine that would grow in the same 5-gallon bucket, and every time he grew them in that bucket, each time would get a little hotter, a little hotter. I didn't experience it firsthand, but that's what he said.
I bet it's just stress, right? They're using the same nutrients, stresses the plant out.
Well, no, you give them more nutrients. There's something else in the soil that's happening. Maybe, we can find out real quick. We've got a little time. We've only gone through an hour so far. That's not too bad. Let's ask Rock here. Why do peppers, let's say hot peppers, get hotter when you grow them in the same soil? Maybe that's like maybe it's a myth. It's weird typing like this. Hot peppers don't inherently get hotter just because you grow them in the same soil over time, at least not in the way you might think. The heat of a pepper measured in the Scoville heat units is primarily determined by its genetics. In variety like jalapeno versus ghost pepper, the environmental factors during growth, however, there's a kernel of truth in your question that ties to soil and cultivation practices. So let's break it down. Let's see.
Yeah, nutrient depletion.
Yes, that's exactly what you just said. Nutrient depletion. Soil used repeatedly can lose key nutrients like nitrogen, potassium, or magnesium. Peppers under mild nutrient stress might crank up capsaicin. Capsaicin. Yes, I've heard the word. I just never read it.
It's the hot that makes it hot.
Yeah, as a defense mechanism, making them feel hotter. Studies like one from Journal of Agriculture and Food Chemistry in 2012 show stressed plants can increase secondary metabolites like capsaicinoids. That sounds like the alien race coming to attack us. It's the capsaicinoids. Oh, they're here. Water retention changes, buildup of compounds. Buildup of compounds might be the one. The soil accumulates salts or organic residues from previous pepper crops. It could subtly alter plant metabolism that isn't well documented for heat. See, that might be, like I said, like maybe it's just a grow science kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe there's something else happening.
Interesting. So that was that was from a guy that told me this thing. So I guess take it.
Yeah.
Take what Grok says with a grain of salt too, because AIs have been proven to be wrong about some things here and there. So don't
make
ever.
stuff up.
Yeah, well, just like Google, if I Google something for the show, I say, this is what Daddy Google says. This is not a, well, because it says on here, that means it's true. This is a, hey, this is where I found it. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
It's actually a really good question here. I'm going to grab, this one. Stuart, microgreens. Citrus honey from Florida. So, honey is really interesting. It depends on the region that it's from. So, say that you're in East Peoria across the river, and I'm in Chillicothe, which is just on the other side of the river.
Right.
So, say that I grew honey and I had a hive and you had a hive. We harvested it exactly the same day, same time of year, same day. But what would end up happening is that if you tasted those honeys, they'd be entirely different. And the reason why is because your soil is different, like just as we kind of talked about. Your soil's different, your plants are different over here, and the water is actually going to be different as well. So like your amount of rainfall you get.
Yeah, I know it's different, that's for sure.
Right? So you're going to have different tasting honey based on just a small regional change. So when you talk about, so locally, we actually have we have mock orange as well. And mock orange has like a different flavor to it outside of orange honey. And the mock orange flavor doesn't stick around as long. It kind of breaks down over time. So that's a really long question to it seems like a simple answer, but or really long answer to what seems like a simple question.
No, I'm sure that, that's something that people don't realize a lot of times when you're talking about bees. They think, oh, honey's honey when they go to the store,
Yeah.
Let me see, maybe black will work. I thought maybe it'd be nice to put our names on the screen somehow, so.
There you go.
There it is, right there. Anyway, so you had some pretty serious things we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, so we've got some bad news too. Okay. I don't mean to stress anybody out, but the State of the Union of the honeybee industry was just released a couple of weeks ago. And so honeybees, actually all of our pollinators are in trouble. So I'm going to get that out in front.
Yeah.
Because I get a lot of pushback, especially recently, about people being like, hey, well, you support honeybees and honeybees are really bad because they outcompete other pollinators.
Yeah, I did bring that up once too.
Right, and which is kind of true. I'm certain they've been here about 200 years, but we need to really save all of our pollinators, not just our honeybees. Which brings you back to, hey, plant some flowers, let your yard go a little bit of flowers. The pollinators are all going to appreciate it. But this year we had higher losses in the previous 15 years of our honeybee hives throughout the United States. And we had hive losses. Usually, like our pros, there are some big guys that have tens of thousands of hives. It's a lot like our economy. There's about 6 people that own about 90% of the bees in the U.S. So they're major.
I thought it was a popular hobby pastime.
It is, but I'm a medium-sized. I'm what's called a hobbyist, or actually, I'm probably a sideliner in the middle, right? So there's hobbyist, sideliner, and then professional. So I'm a sideliner. I have about 70 hives, and I'm considered not to be a professional because I don't have enough hives.
You told me once. I want to say the number of the biggest place was 20,000 hives.
Oh, more than that. They're 100,000 hives, but in Illinois, he's got 30,000 bees and 30,000 hives right now.
Maybe that's what I
so those guys' losses year to year, they're really, really good at what they do. And their losses are maybe at 25% of the hives die a year to year. And that's a pretty good number.
25%
of all your hives die.
There's not a lot of businesses that people would go into thinking 25% is going to be every year. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
So 25% is normal losses for those guys. This last year, they saw between 70 and 90% losses, almost across the board. So they we just finished with almond pollination. So 70% of the world's almonds are actually out of California, and we send
70% of the world's almonds.
Yeah, and we send almost 90% of our honeybees to pollinate those almonds. They're all honeybee pollinated.
You send them, yeah.
So you put them on trucks. Every once in a while, you'll see this truck flipped over and all these thousands of honeybees, right? It dropped them. But that's where they're sending those. They send them out throughout the United States. We were short this year between 90 and 300,000 hives to pollinate those almonds. So
wow.
Yeah, and
It's
so
a big problem for all food.
and so that's the beginning. The almonds are actually the beginning. So
That's
this
where it starts.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the almonds is where they first pollinate, and they move them down to oranges, and they'll move them down to peaches, blueberries, all these other things.
Do they propagate during that time, or do they lose some of the numbers?
So
from
you
all the
actually
transferring of them and shipping them.
They tend to grow. They tend to grow in almonds. They feed them. Almonds produce a lot of pollen and almost no nectar. So you have to feed them in order to keep them going, because the nectar is honey, which is a carbohydrate. The pollen is a protein, right? But they have to have both of them based on their life cycle.
I remember that pollen taste.
Yeah, the flowery, flowery,
chalky.
Yeah, chalky, flowery flavor to it. So we lost so the study right now says that we lost 55% at a minimum. We're thinking more about 70% of the honeybees throughout the United States were lost, and they can't
in the last few weeks.
Within the last year.
Oh, yeah. I see.
Okay. Since January.
Okay.
So we have and they don't really know why. Like, the scary part is that we don't really know why. So
you don't even know what you can't attribute it to one thing.
Yeah,
so
we can't be like, oh, it's the varroa mite or it's this. Like, we don't know.
Nice, Mashley.
Yeah, so they got lots of people studying it, but we don't know what's going on. So that's not great news, especially as a beekeeper. We also have issues.
Or that's an opportunity as a beekeeper to take up the
take up the mantle,
buy up the dip, or to make up the difference. I know that it's scary, but I think a lot of populations might have ebbs and flows, So
yeah. Well,
I don't think it's natural. I don't think this is, by all means, I don't think this is something that should have happened, but hopefully we can recover, is I guess my
yeah. It's been about 15 years since we saw a dip like this.
So it has happened similar, but
so it has happened before, and then it takes about 3 years to recover from something like this to get those numbers back up.
Did they learn anything last time? Maybe that can help this time to recover.
Yeah. So we learned that neonicotinoids are way more dangerous than we thought they were.
Like nicotine and stuff.
So it's an insecticide that you dip the seed into, and then you plant it. And when that plant grows, the flowers and the stem and
affects the pollen.
All has that nicotine-based insecticide in it. Mm-hmm. And it's supposed to be safe for bees. The issue is that because they only test it on like single animals outside of the hive, they don't ever test it when it's an animal that brings food back and concentrates it in an area.
Hmm. So because then they concentrate what they bring, and then it becomes infused honey with the nicotine or whatever.
Yeah, and then the other thing that happens is that you mix it with other chemicals that come in, right? Like, so they can't just be like, oh, we can only they only test it as a single neonicotinoid, right? They only test that. They don't test it with, hey, now it's mixed with a fungicide, now it's mixed with an herbicide,
right?
And now it's a different chemical. It has
or
a chemical
both,
reaction.
Or all three,
or both. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's the problem, that we thought chemicals were going to save us, and now we're finding out that would in so many places, not just bees, not just farming, but in our kitchens, in our bathrooms, in our in our houses. And I am constantly trying to find ways to move. Last week I had my friend Nikki from St. Cody Sustainables on Tuesday, and I was talking about her I forget how she puts it, but it's laundry detergent.
Yeah.
That is like just the ingredients that you need, I don't want to say healthy ingredients, but cleaner ingredients, not the chemical stuff that you would get in the big jug or whatever. Yeah. So stuff like that is just an example that we got to move. Or I'm not going to tell everyone not to use chemicals, but at the same time, we clearly didn't know what we were getting into when we started just using them for everything. Yeah, in fact, we learned more and more stuff. So last time since I was here, they have the North American Honeybee Expo, which you'd think, how many beekeepers are there actually in the U.S.? I think it was about 30,000 people showed up. 30,000?
Yeah, so it was not a small thing.
No.
And I went through, it was 4 days long. They had like 3 talks a day by some doctorates, and you learn all kinds of stuff at places like that. Chemicals, yeah.
Yes.
I agree with you.
It's hard to get away from them though, just because
they're everywhere.
Like that plastic and that.
Oh yeah,
it's all chemical stuff. Yeah. Like the coating of things and stuff.
Oh yeah,
man, that's one thing I worried about building indoor grow beds and gardens is because there's a plastic liner. You know.
Yeah.
And you have to be careful about what you compost these days, and if you're indoors, you don't have Mother Nature there to really correct what you're doing. So if you're outside,
or disperse it, right? Like
yes,
dilution, right?
Diluting it. That's a big thing. And the same thing, like you're saying, if the bees are going to concentrate pesticides and things, then it's not only going to affect them, but it's going to affect us. Even if they say it didn't kill the bees, it would get into the honey, and then
all honey has some level of insecticide in it. It's
not organic. No. They call it organic honey. We talked about that last time.
The organic honey is all BS. That's BS. They have to have like
free range honey.
There is free range honey.
Is there?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Like,
you can't help it be free range. So, although they do have bumblebees, and they use bumblebees in greenhouses.
Yes, you were telling me that.
Yeah, so
I'd love to try it sometime, but not in here. Not because I'm afraid of bees, but this isn't the space.
Bumblebees are scarier than honeybees, even as a beekeeper. I'm more scared of bumblebees.
They bite?
Because they're larger stinger.
They have a stinger?
Oh yeah.
I always thought bumblebees didn't have a stinger.
No, bumblebees have a stinger. Even carpenter bees, which are the gentle giants of the bumblebee world, those guys have stingers too.
Maybe I always confuse the carpenter bee with the bumblebee.
Well, they have the shiny butt, the carpenter bees.
Huh.
And
I'm not looking at them too close when I see them.
And they're usually
a bigger one. I think
they're usually eating perfect holes in your wood, like your deck. They like digging into untrees.
Damn termites.
Yeah, kind of.
Or there's another wasp or something that is it a mud dauber? No, there's a wasp that will create these little mud things on wood, almost like it's termites. Maybe
mud daubers. Mud daubers will do it on anything.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they're really good insectivores.
I thought they were termites, and they're like, no, that's a wasp. Okay.
Yeah, no, insectivore. They're great at eating spiders, mostly spiders. That's what they'll
what happens with bees when they intersect with or encounter a plant that has pests on it? Are they not going to get anything from those flowers? Say if there's still flowers that are okay on it, but the plant is clearly infested by something, whatever.
Yeah, we call it aphids or spider mites. So plants usually will put a last ditch effort out into reproducing at that point. Right? They try to get to seeds real fast.
Yeah.
So bees will still visit it. The aphids don't bother bees. The spider mites don't bother bees.
They don't get stuck in there.
They might hop on for a ride to go somewhere else. Yeah. But they
spread the colony.
Right? And bees will comb themselves off pretty well. But no, they don't usually. And bees are also a weird creature when they pollinate. They usually will select one flower and only go to that flower in an area. So when they only go to that one flower in an area, they'll kind of use up that resource, and then they'll move to something else. So early in spring, they do cherries and apples and things like that.
So I'm going back to the beginning a little bit, just because I know we missed a couple of things that people were excited to talk to you about, like Jake saying that he uses the pollen for animals and isopods. I didn't know that.
I've never heard of that.
I mean, it was right after he said he's needing a new source. So
I've never heard. Now it's a protein, right? And protein's a plant-based protein.
Right.
I understand why you might use it.
Well, and isopods are they eat. Not only they eat several things. I think they eat bug parts and plant like dead material.
Sure.
So maybe that's good for them.
Have you seen the isopods that they have on the bottom of the ocean? Those they're
really big ones. Yeah,
big. There's people that eat them.
Yeah. You just lay them up.
Crazy.
But is it though? When you look at crab and lobster, those are just big bugs.
Those are big bugs too.
Just
but
bugs.
I mean, yeah. I guess it's surprising.
Yeah, I saw it. It doesn't look so good to me. I got to be honest. Most things that have a sort of gooey texture, like say mussels or what's the other thing? Clams. I'm not good. I'm not down with that stuff. But
No?
I'm okay. I don't mind crab and lobster. It's not like my favorite, but I can eat it. It's just that those things that are kind of slimy.
So being from Japan, they eat fermented bee larvae. It's
fermented bee larvae.
Yeah.
So do they filter the larva out of the honey?
So
or
they
is there still some
you
honey
pick the larva out of the hive, and then you put it in a jar, and I don't know what they mix with it, and then they just let it ferment, and it's kind of like a spread.
Fermented.
Just look up fermented honeybees.
Guys, let's see a hashtag WTIF out there. Who's awake in the comments? Got 11 people over on the Rumble. We've got, I don't know what we got on Facebook. 12 over on the Facebook. Okay, look. There's some results. Let me just look at pictures.
No.
Speaking of Burt's Bees, I just bought some toothpaste.
Yeah.
From Burt's Bees that is, what do you call it? Doesn't have any
fluoride.
Yes, fluoride free, and it's like charcoal active or something like that.
Yeah,
made by Burt's Bees.
Did you ever hear the story about Bert and his bees? Burt's Bees?
No.
Is he a bad
guy?
No, he's a great guy.
Tyson chicken? Okay.
No, he had his honeybees and he had all of his stuff, and he got married. His wife came and divorced him, and it's right there to the left. I think that's it.
This here?
I think so.
It's not even gonna give
no, that's fermented honey. Anyway, he got divorced and she took all of his bee fortune. So it's really actually run by her.
Oh wow.
So yeah, that's fermented honey.
Here?
No, it should be. Am I allowed to search on this one?
Yeah. Yeah. Just open a new page.
Let me pull this up. Ferment.
Hell yeah! I appreciate you guys. DC, Cassandra, Margaret, let's go. We're going to be on for a little bit longer, and I'm hoping to get up to the 50 likes, give away a door prize. Appreciate you going over to X, DC. I'm getting dangerously close to 1,000 followers on X. Let's go. Hashtag Luke, Margaret says. Hell yeah, guys. Definitely appreciate Luke. If you could go and follow the Riverview Road Apiary page on Facebook, and go check out the website whenever you get a chance. You can win, I think, let's see, who won this month's Riverview Road prize? That was Jess.
I can't find it. It's fermented. Man, I've had it. It's not very good.
No?
No.
I wonder maybe it's just the health benefits of it, like the high protein.
There you go. It's HACHINOKO.
Whoa.
Hachinoko.
One more time.
HACHINOKO. Hachinoko.
There's recipes. Okay. Here's some. Ooh, okay. Yeah, let's pull this up. Fermented bees. Here we go. Hachinoko.
Here we go.
I watch a lot of Japanese anime, so got this. Actually, I watch the dubbed version because I can't read I have to be able to look away from the screen.
All right.
There's a lot of people that listen to it in Japanese and read the screen, but
yeah,
I don't like subtitles. That's just me.
Yeah.
So that's crazy looking.
Yeah.
It's like some kind of
fermented
twisted mac and cheese or something.
Fermented bee larva. It's real kind of nutty.
Do you know why they eat it?
Yeah, because they think it's good for them. I don't know. It's why we eat almost anything, right?
Japanese baby bees.
Yep.
An acquired taste.
Not good.
Well, I'm guessing that maybe there was a famine at some point, and they were like, "Well, let's eat this."
Well, the Japanese eat all kinds of stuff that we don't.
Yeah,
eat.
You're right. They eat some weird stuff over there, and I mean weird because it's weird to me.
Yep.
Not because there's anything wrong with it per se.
Yep. There you go. It's to the right. Japan's unique and something. Unusual foods. Yeah. That's
this here.
Yeah, that might be beetles though. Yeah. Hachinoko. Yep, that's it. That's it right there.
I don't always trust wikis, but There's some like with some kind of like maybe while it's cooking. It looks like it's while it's cooking.
No, they have like a sauce that they
they're
in,
sauce.
Yeah.
Margaret says, I infused my honey from Riverview Road Apiary. I used it in the certified salted caramel cookies. Oh, very cool.
Nice.
Yeah, Margaret's another sponsor of Game Night, and she makes baked goods, and so she used your honey in the baked goods. Awesome.
Yeah, of the honeys we tried tonight, the farmy tasting honey is actually pretty good for baking. It doesn't come through, the farminess doesn't come through, and the flowers in the front end are stronger.
Is it because it's not as sweet, or maybe?
I don't know. Maybe, yeah. It certainly is. Of these, it was the least sweet, right?
If you think of like a savory honey, maybe.
Yeah.
Kind of a savory feel. Like a lot of people don't realize why peanut butter goes in like things like chili and stuff. That's because they match. They're both sweet and savory.
Yeah.
They have the sweet and savory, and chili has a little bit of a sweet, and maybe not always, depending on the recipe. But it also obviously has the savory with the meat.
I've actually never used honey in my chili. Maybe I should try it. See how it goes.
That's an interesting idea. I was comparing it to peanut butter, but at the same time, that could be good. Well, what I like to do is I like to make a peanut butter sandwich and dip it in the chili.
Oh,
and maybe put some honey on there too. It might be a good idea. It's a weird. Do you know why it makes a kind of forms a crust when you make a peanut butter and honey sandwich?
No.
You ever eaten it? If you ever had it, comment below, guys. If you've had a peanut butter and honey sandwich, there's something that's happening where the honey and peanut butter meet that actually almost forms a crunch.
Really?
Yeah. It's hard to describe, but I know somebody out there can back me up on this.
I wouldn't think it'd be crystallization of the honey, because that doesn't usually happen very fast. But it could be the honey crystallizing. It just needs
happens.
Yeah.
When you put honey on peanut butter, the mixture becomes thicker and sweeter, with the honey adding a slightly runny consistency to the peanut butter. That's not right. Making it a popular spread on sandwiches. Key point.
Making up stuff.
Sweetness. Texture. The honey can slightly thin out the peanut butter. No, that doesn't happen.
Huh.
Some separation in the peanut butter might occur. That's not right. Yes. See? Amy can back me up on this. Google, I'm gonna forsake Google for Amy's backing me up. Yes, I love honey on peanut butter growing up. Yes, doesn't it do like so good even on toasted bread? Yeah, my son likes a little honey on his toast with cinnamon.
It's the bread. Interesting.
The bread, okay. Honey with the bread. Yes, I think you're right. Something that happens. You have to try it sometime.
All right.
I wonder if it would happen if you ate just a honey on bread sandwich. But I've experienced it with peanut butter and honey, and it's like it is almost like crystallization. When you said that, I was like, that's kind of what the feeling of it. It's kind of a crunch.
Yeah. So honey is really hydrophilic. It really likes water. It wants to have water in it.
Well, the bread would be absorbing that.
Well, the bread has some moisture in there.
It does too. Yeah, you're right.
Right. So it could be maybe it's sucking the moisture. I wouldn't know. I don't know. It has quite a bit of water in it, right? 18%, 18 or lower % water in all of our different honeys here. If it's above 18%, what ends up happening is that it ferments.
I'm gonna have to try it again myself. It could also depend on how long you leave the sandwich before you go to take a bite. I'm not talking like a long time, but it might take a few minutes for the honey to do what I'm talking about. I don't know. It sounds like I'm making it up, but I swear it happens.
Is it toasted or untoasted?
A few people said yes. I'm not sure if they're saying yes that they liked honey on peanut butter, or yes that they've experienced this feeling. No, not toasted.
Not toasted.
No, just a regular sandwich. If you have this like barrier there, I'm not sure.
My favorite
bread. DC's right though. I think it's absorbing. I think it's soaking into the bread. Even though they both have moisture, the bread has so porous that it's soaking into the bread, and there's something happening there. Maybe just the crystallization is left on the outside that's not porous enough, because the honey I mean, I don't know. I mean, honestly, like the honey should be pretty much uniform.
Yeah,
but there's crystals in there.
Yeah, there's
think?
crystals that happen. Yeah,
We just
this one's a good example of crystallization that's starting to happen in it.
Maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe the honey has to be a little bit more close to the crystallization itself.
Yeah. So here's
happens.
some actually, as it gets to the bottom, you can see the crystals.
Okay. Man, now I'm really wanting to get to the bottom of this because maybe let's see, does honey crystallize on bread?
It could just be it's crystallized in there and you're getting the last bit of crunch off of it. Oh, why does honey crystallize on bread? Was like the top one.
If you put crystallized honey on bread, that's not what I asked. It's not what I asked. It will essentially melt the spread.
No, that's on toast. No, on toast, it will melt. So I really like spun honey or creamed honey.
Crystallization is a natural phenomenon that happens.
To
most.
And actually, that's not 100% true either. There's the whole, you guys see the posts on like, oh, you can't eat honey with a metal spoon. That's BS. Or like, I don't know. Only real honey crystallizes. That's
temperatures.
BS too. All honey crystallizes, and you can make honey now. There's companies out there that make called Mere Honey.
Like fake honey.
Yeah, there's a company called Fake Honey. That is.
Oh yeah, it's supposed to be vegan.
Yeah,
vegan.
Yeah, because it doesn't go from an animal, right? And so,
like they're making the honey. Well, okay, they make it for themselves, but they make an excess usually. That's the whole.
Absolutely.
The whole way that this works.
Well, except for last year, it was a weird end of the year. I ended up having to feed my bees. I ended up feeding them about 480 pounds of sugar to get them through the winter. 400
is that more or less than usual?
That's way more than usual. I almost never.
Sounds like a lot.
I almost never feed my bees to get them through.
Imagine just looking at that.
Yeah.
480 pounds. Like you wouldn't be able to fit it in your car.
Right. It's a pallet.
Yeah.
It's a pallet.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
For what did you call it? Like above hobbyists. Like
sideliner.
That's a lot.
It is. It's a lot.
It's almost like a big farmer would want to grow sugar just for their bees. Yeah,
sugar is still cheaper than honey. Right? I mean,
but not good for them for different reasons, right?
It's a simple carbohydrate. So when we talk about good for them and not good for them, so honey nectar has indigestibles in there called ash, which is an easy way we talk about ash. So bees actually eat the nectar, the honey, and they can't. What they poop out is the ash. And if you think about it, they go into basically the hive in end of November, and they just got like their first break from the weather, like maybe a month ago. So you're talking about having to wait for the bathroom, right? It's they got a long wait.
That's a long wait. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So this sounds more like what I was. Why does honey crystallize or seem to when you put it on bread?
There you go.
So this is kind of what we're getting at, and I think DC's right. Kind of a combination, but I think you're right too. It says honey. Well, this is the first person. It looks like it was helpful. Honey crystallizes because of a high concentration of sugars like glucose and fructose.
Yep.
Honey in the hives has about 80% of sugars.
Yep.
Fluttering wings of bees evaporate water from honey. Okay, and nectar to reach. Okay, I get this, but why is it happening on the bread? Sugars are not soluble anymore, and a crystallization starts. Poured on bread. Part of the honey water is taken, thus concentrating the sugar. So yeah, it's absorbing some of the water part of it.
Yeah, that's not 100% correct, but that's pretty close.
There's no magic trick or quick fix to boost revenues. What? Okay, that's just somebody trying to get some business.
I've got a couple of questions here.
We got JGL. What's up?
I'm interested in this one. So you took a B class yesterday.
Oh, cool.
So I give B classes, kind of like what we did, except we did an interview kind of in the middle. You go out, and we got pictures, you hold the frame and stuff.
Did you do one yesterday? Because they're local. These guys are local.
That's not me. So I'm interested in like what the B class was and So if you throw up there who you went and saw, because I know a lot of local beekeepers.
Yeah, shout them out.
Shout them out.
Let us know who you went to see.
And if you had a good time.
Should I call you JGL? I know you're friends with Ryan or Ryan's cousin. Shouts out to Red 6. What's most fascinating is that in the winter, the drones get kicked out of the hive. To die. Yeah, that's right. Only the female works in the
actually
workers in the queen.
A few lucky couple of drones may stick around. They'll let a few of them around. We don't really know why.
Well, you got to have entertainment. They probably kick them around. And
by the time they get through winter, they're no longer fertile, so they're not super helpful. Here's another one too. Stuart's got a good question. As of now in trends, where do I see the honey industry going? So
that's a big question.
It's a big question, and it's actually a really good one. So I think it's going to move away from the super large number of hives. Like the professionals will actually get to be smaller in size and focus more on queen rearing, because queen rearing is actually a really expensive business. A properly raised queen is about $50 this year. So for one bee, and that's not a high level queen. That's just like a low level base.
Just
queen.
had the all bare minimum of
stuff.
Yeah.
And then if you get the really fancy ones, they're called breeder queens. The most expensive one I've ever seen was $3,000. The cheapest one I've ever seen is $300. And those are instrumentally inseminated queens with known fathers and known genetics in the background for the queens. So it's it happens. Like I think they'll be moving down more towards spreading out their business and not having so many bees. But we'll see how that goes. As far as honey prices, I'm going to assume that honey prices are going to go up. I would expect, or we'll import more honey. We import a huge amount of honey in the United States from Mexico and from Canada.
Are you really seeing that happening with the tariffs? Don't you think it'll be cheaper to just ramp it up here?
No, it'll still be. They're cheap. They also, so a lot of that actually comes from. So China is like the largest producer of fake honey in the world,
right?
And then they'll ship it to other countries. So they'll ship it, and then they'll ship it to like somebody in Mexico who rebrands it and then ships it in from Mexico. So you have a different. It's actually not real honey.
Not from Mexico either.
Well, it's not even real, and it's not from Mexico. So I'm guessing that the beekeeper size, the volume of the large beekeepers will probably decrease as they move towards more diverse industries, and then I would also decentralize it. Yeah, off of pollination, just pollination. Pollination contracts are also getting harder. So
to call 4 bees to come out just to pollinate
they're paying less. Yeah, when they call people to bring their bees out to pollinate.
Is that because they're getting squeezed on the other end with
I think
cost
so.
or something?
I think that's part of it. Yeah, and they're getting and they get bigger and bigger, right? Bigger and bigger farms require I can do business with fewer people, and then I can drive prices lower. So.
Well, yeah. So it's kind of up in the air, I would say. It doesn't look good for right now, and like you said, if it takes 3 years to come back from this, and that might not even be happening for a while, like we might still be on the down, we might still be on the downslope.
We're on the top of that avalanche of that downslope.
Looking down the hill, we're looking down the hill right now. Like, it's coming.
Yeah.
Lisa says we are raw honey fans here. I'm going to order the herbs infused honey. I think it'll make it easier to get medicinal herbs in me.
So let's talk about raw honey real quick. So raw honey gets brought up a lot. So the difference between raw honey and non-raw honey is the temperature that you heat it to in order to usually pour it. So the non-raw
liquefy it.
Yeah, to make it liquefied. So all honey crystallizes. As long as you don't get basically people say 120, but realistically the enzymes denature at about 105, 107. So as long as it doesn't get above 107, you largely have raw honey. So all of the honey that I have is raw. Maybe this isn't, just because it's mixed with the hot sauce and stuff.
Processed more,
but, yeah. So, and then any of the raw herbs and anything like that you want to put in honey, as long as you lower as long as you throw it in the dehumidifier and get like all the water out of it, you can actually stick those herbs in there.
Right in the honey.
Right in the honey and let them sit. And that's what infused honey technically is something that's been usually has herbs that have been sat in it for a while.
Maybe strain it if
absolutely
if you had to. Yeah.
Or
I just imagine like the basil, like if I'm just going to shove a big basil leaf in there, it might be easy to pull that out, but for the most part, if you're going to do a larger batch, you're going to have to strain it.
Even they have bags for it too.
Oh yeah, like almost like a tea bag or something. That makes sense. Infusion bag. How is the interest in honey production?
Yeah.
Is there a growing number of producers? So he just kind of answered that. I think there is, if I heard you correctly, there's a growing number of producers, but that doesn't mean the volume they're producing is anywhere equal to what we had because of the loss.
Yeah, because the volume's going to be down because of the losses that we saw. And so my guess is that the imports will be higher. If you guys like documentaries, there's a really good one on Netflix on Rotten, which is awesome. The first episode is about honey specifically, and it talks about actually based out of Chicago, one of the major busts of fake honey that happened in the United States. And like what happened, it was actually poisoned honey. It had a carcinogen that was in it.
It's even worse than
it's a pretty awesome show.
That's worse because, thinking that that's one of the biggest problems about thinking that you're eating healthy. People, I'm getting the vitamins, I'm getting the healthy fruits and stuff. Well, not only do you have that organic or non-organic label, but then you have stuff like this that we're finding out is fake.
Oh, yeah.
And because honey has a lot of medicinal properties, and if you think you're using it for things like, I'm sick, let me get a spoonful of honey for my throat, make it feel better. All these things that we might be thinking we're being good by using it, and then you end up finding out, and that honey's not the only thing that we're finding out. It's just not only is there a lot of food that's bad for us in the grocery store, and I eat some of it, don't worry, but I'm moving away from it. But not only is it bad for you, but then there's food that's fake. It's a separate problem.
Yeah. So
it's crazy.
To that point, a while the U.S. actually tracks honey pretty well. Germany is the best country at it. They develop all kinds of stuff to track fake honey. So for a while in the U.S. it was like 70% of all honey on your shelf in the grocery store is fake. It's down to like 30% now.
Oh wow.
So it's gotten better.
Plus,
basically we've gotten better at mass spectrometry, like checking honey and keeping it out. But it's still, if you're looking for like real honey from a real beekeeper, go out and find your beekeeper. And it doesn't have to be me. There's lots of them around their area. There were some really good ones. There's Mcabee Apiary, which is on this side of the river. Excellent beekeepers. And just if you can go find your beekeeper wherever you are, it's a great thing to do.
There's Lazy Bones in the house. What's up? We use honey from our bees and our tallow products. Okay. Fire, cider, teas, and coffees. Bees are so fascinating. Yeah. They're fascinating, but also the importance of it is, it's hard. There's so many things that you could point to and say, man, if we lose this thing, there's so many other things that'll be affected. But when it comes to pollinators, like that's a whole on another level.
If we lose our pollinators, we're screwed. Like all of our pollinators, we are screwed. There's also dehydrated honey. Oh, let's go and talk about that one.
That's good. It's a good question because yes, a whole bunch of our vegetables. I don't know about broccoli specifically, but I know a whole bunch of them are things that we've hybridized for hundreds of years.
Yeah,
it's not a new thing. It's
broccoli is related to cabbage. It's a type of cabbage.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
they kind of look like. Or not cabbage. I was thinking of cauliflower.
There's a couple of
something else.
Yeah.
The dehydrated sugar.
Oh, the dehydrated sugar. So there is dehydrated honey. You can do that. That's actually kind of how you make
dehydrated honey. That's right. That's what he said.
It's kind of how you make creamed honey. Is that you let it crystallize. So you can do that. I've tried it before. I would just prefer honey.
Do you feel as the chemical composition of honey is affected?
Yeah.
Well, we talked about it already, but even without pollution, the pesticides and herbicides, fungicides, those things that are being put on deliberately are actually staying with plants long enough that it comes into our honey supply.
Yeah.
So hopefully, between the whole the media attention that MAHA, MAHA, Make America Healthy Again, RFK, all these things, whether they're controversial or not, at least it's bringing an eyeball to our food industry and our health industry and all these things. And I got to be honest, there's almost too many categories for us to tackle as far as a nation. Our water, our vaccines, our medical industry, our food, all these things are connected in that they all either are absorbed into us, and things that touch us on the outside absorb into us.
Yeah.
Right. We have that absorption, but not just things that we eat, not just things we ingest, but our environment as a whole. And I'm hoping that that's a positive trend towards like, hey, at least maybe more people pay attention. I don't care if RFK ever does a single thing. I am glad that it's bringing that light, it's shining a light. Yes, let's just at least take a look, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm glad about. But
there's a couple of good questions here. I really like the questions tonight, guys. I really love talking to people about honeybees. It's not clear.
Yeah, they got excited right at the beginning of the show. Whoa! We got a couple things to look at first.
Yeah, so I'm so excited. Thanks for all the questions. So yeah, the fruit trees, lazy bones. There's actually, if you look online, there's the largest or the longest book that's had live updates to it is the Pollinator Handbook. It'll tell you the number of hives you should have per.
Is it a digital site or is it a book?
It's a book. I'd have to find it. It's a digital site though. It's a digital.
Okay.
You can pull it up.
Okay.
But it's like a pollinator. It's a pollinator handbook. No, and it goes through. You can break it down into each different. I'll send it to. I'll send it to you.
There's probably 100 of them, but this is one that a beekeeper has already checked out and says it's pretty good. So I think that'd be a good one for people to check out over.
Yeah, so it basically tells you how many hives you should have per acre per different fruit, because not all of them need the same amount.
So Shane, what do you mean infused honey? A lot of people are getting this infused honey a little bit confused. It sounds. I'm suspecting. Shane Briggs, that you probably tried like infused with cannabis in some way, but there's so many things. I went to an event recently where there was a honey infused honey booth, and they had to tell you almost every time it was a cannabis event, but the honey was not cannabis infused. They just said it's infused honey with all sorts of other things, blackberry, all these different things.
Okay.
But not cannabis. So they had to explain that every time someone come up to the booth because they're at that kind of event. So it's very funny.
Yeah. So the cinnamon, if you get cinnamon stick infused honey, that stuff's awesome. And you don't have to buy it. You can make it. We talked about you can make it. It's super easy to make.
Cinnamon stick infused honey. That's what I think Elisa was talking about this a little bit ago. She said you stick a cinnamon stick in there.
Yeah.
Now, what's funny though is that I found out recently that cinnamon is just like a layer of the outside of the tree, almost like bark.
Yeah, it is bark.
Well, isn't it just behind the bark, or it's actually the bark?
I think it's the bark.
Okay.
But if you burn it, if you torch it too beforehand, it gets a nice little different flavor in there.
Like a smoky flavor.
Yeah.
Like roasted chestnuts or something.
And the other thing you can do with honey that we haven't talked about is that you can ferment stuff with it. And fermented things are really good for us, right?
Right. So, I didn't know you could use it for that.
Yeah.
I don't really know much about fermenting, so maybe.
So you'll have like a quart jar. You fill it with like onions and garlic. You pour honey across it. It's awesome.
You just kind of. Do you have to? I'm just gonna get a smell of all these before you leave. But do you have to? Maybe I'm thinking of the pressure, the jars that have to be sucked out.
No, you actually put like a cloth, like a cheesecloth over the top of it.
I've seen that.
And you like throw it on top of your fridge and let it sit there for a couple of weeks. And
that's fermenting.
Yep. Well, we watched you make it. Yeah, the infused honey. Yeah. So Shane, if I don't know if you're local or not, but
THC. Okay, that's what I thought.
Oh, yeah. Okay. But yeah, if it's local, technically. He couldn't make that. Like legally, he's not allowed to make that for you, but because law in Illinois says I can't add anything to honey.
Oh,
like I can't add anything to honey unless I have a certified kitchen.
Because you're going to sell it.
Because I'm going to sell it.
So maybe they were just
Yeah.
Given tastes.
I don't know.
Did you pay for it, Shane? Interesting.
Fire starter, garlic and
I can
Would
definitely
you
smell
suggest to plant in your yard for honeybees? Yeah, I would suggest you plant in your yard for pollinators. But
all
honeybees,
pollinators, yeah.
all pollinators, and garlic. They really like stuff. They like stuff that you wouldn't think they like. So they really, really will fight you over asparagus that goes to flower. They'll fight you over it, over those flowers.
I'm scared of the cloves or the clover, or what do you call the little flowers?
Clover, yeah, the white Dutch clover.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe you were the one that taught me this when I walked back to the apiary with you. Oh, walking through that clover now, I never paid attention before. And now as I'm walking my dog through a field or something, I'm like, bee. I'm like, I don't want to be here. I'm like, I'm not planting that.
They're super nice. They'll move out of your way.
It's a gift. Okay, so you were giving it. There you go.
Yeah.
Don't you LOL me, Shane. Shane came up on game night last night. Thanks for playing, Shane. But yeah, that's...
So Chris, this is a good question that I get all the time.
I got it.
There are all kinds of stuff that you can plant in your yard for honeybees. I would suggest to go to a website that actually doesn't like honeybees, but I don't really care. They're really good for plants, called Xerces, XERCES.com. They have a study that they reference that say that honeybees are bad. We'll move these out of the way. That says that honeybees are out competing our local pollinators, which kind of is true, but not really.
Society?
Yeah. Okay. Xerces Society, Invertebrate Conservation. So this is a great resource. If you go down to resources,
we're gonna pull it up on screen, and then we'll also pull your website up here too. Make sure we get a good promotion in there before we leave. Let's pull it up. Here we go. Do this.
All right, so go to resources, and you can go to Native Plant and Seed Services, right there. So if you go down here, so the reason that the monarch's on here is because I think the monarch just made the endangered species list.
Yeah, I heard
which
that.
Which is sad because they've been on the bubble for years.
And what was the big thing they're good for besides being pollinators? Aren't monarch butterflies good for something else? I thought there was something they were really important for.
They're major eaters of milkweed.
Oh, don't they eat a lot of? Oh, they don't eat insects, do they?
No, they're milkweed eaters. So scroll down. So that's a rusted back bumblebee or something along those lines. They're also actually in Illinois, and they're endangered as well. Should have. Yes, you keep going down. All right. Let's see what we got here. They have like in your area and the seeds. This is not it then.
Wings magazine. Lots of lunar moths here. I haven't seen many monarchs. Lunar moths.
I've never actually seen a lunar moth.
Like we've actually seen more monarchs up here in northern Illinois in the last few years.
Yeah, so our weathers, we talk about our weather changing, and that's it depends on who you ask what they believe about that. But our spring's actually gotten sooner and sooner every year. So last year, by next weekend was the first. This should be what it is. Next weekend is usually when I see my first dandelion. Man, I love dandelions.
They're good for us in a whole bunch of ways.
Yeah,
people don't realize.
Yeah. Well, this is where it is.
What's the phraseology you're looking for?
I'm looking for the seed. They have local plants. Yeah, local. Let's do this. Let's do Xerces.
Now you got to deal with the honey bottles.
Local plant finder. There we go. Pollinator native. This is what you're looking for. The pollinator conservation plant friendly plant list. And you select the area that you're in, right? You can go, I'm I'm in Illinois. I apply this. It gives you a list here. This is a PDF, right? And then it'll tell you all of the different.
There you go.
No.
Yeah, but you can join.
You can join.
It's a newsletter, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so these are all the lists of the plants. The ones with the stars are things that they like them the most.
Those should be on the top.
The type of plant, how much sun it needs, what kind of soil it requires, and then everything that it feeds, and then also when it blooms. So like, this is 2 pages worth of plants.
Wow.
And it's pretty awesome.
Now, just speaking from a novice perspective, that can look pretty daunting.
Yep.
You know, maybe just go after the stars.
Go after the stars.
Yeah.
Go after the coneflowers. Like, go look for stuff that you're comfortable with seeing, right? Like the pale purple coneflower. We all know what coneflowers look like.
I don't know what that is.
Really? It's the real. It has like looks like
I'm
a
sure
black.
I would recognize it. And you say that's a cool. Oh, I've seen.
Yeah,
them
black-eyed
before,
Susans, right?
Okay,
Little, right, white flowers. Goldenrod. Plant some goldenrod.
Yeah.
Milkweed. There's all kinds of milkweeds here that grow wild here. A lead plant is actually looks like that pretty closely.
That's not lavender.
Nope, that's a lead plant. Really good at concentrating toxins in your soil. So
Yeah, that's another good thing to look at is what plants will help with the soil biome.
So this is a great place to go look. If you go, I don't know if you guys are Redditors or not. If you ever been on the Peoria Reddit, as long as it's a pollinator for your weather area, it'll be good. So that's a great question. So it's actually no. It is good, yes. But pay attention to when it blooms. So you want stuff that blooms in the beginning of the season and blooms at the end of the season. Most people don't think about that. We just think about summers during the middle, right? So like bloom all through the season is excellent because it helps with everybody.
Like multiple blooms happening.
Well, just different plants.
Stay bloomed.
Yeah, so you have like you have a variety of plants that come and go.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
You have things that are not even coming up yet, while other stuff is already going through its
absolutely.
cycle.
Or if you're looking at trees in like the Peoria area, some of the better trees out there are like the there's pecans used to be native, but we don't have pecans anymore hardly.
Pecan tree, huh?
But if you're looking,
that's funny. The camera picked you
it
up.
did pick me up and move.
It's okay. It's goofy like that.
All right.
So
but like a linden is a great tree.
A linden tree
Produces, they call it a bee tree. It produces a huge amount of nectar. So
linden tree.
Yeah.
How do you spell that?
Linden.
You know, one of the problems I have indoors is that I'm over here trying to grow a variety of things, but yet the light schedule and everything else doesn't change, and so there are plants that don't like that.
Yeah,
they might
absolutely.
I'm giving them too much light. It's too warm in here.
Yep.
Whatever it is, and so I have to sort of rethink what I'm doing. This stuff in there is all kind of experimental, but once I clear out that table, I'm going to have to rethink what I put in there. All things that like the same season, I guess, the same types of light cycle or the amount of light and the temperature and stuff, and then I can have sort of companion plants. But right now it's like, wait, that one's going straight to seed because it doesn't like that it's cold in here or whatever it is. And
some need breaks, which is strange, right? Like I have a Venus flytrap right now, and you have to put them in dormancy through winter.
You have to do that?
Yeah, so I put it in the refrigerator through winter, so it doesn't get light, and it keeps that temperature nice and cool.
So you couldn't just leave it alive? What would happen?
It wears out the bulb, and it slowly just kind of
fall off.
Yeah,
I've seen that. I heard somebody told me that when they close, or no, maybe it's a different plant, but they poke it and then it closes and then it dies.
So they only can open and close so many times. Like
maybe that's what. Only 2 or 3 times, but maybe they propagate within that time, I guess.
Yeah, it keeps.
Because I'd love to have something here. It would be amazing.
Yeah, it actually probably. Well, they have to have really bad soil, no nutrition in their soil whatsoever. They don't like nutrition.
I'd put it like in its own pot or something.
Yeah, you have to put it in like a pot that's not that. It can't
I get
be
a lot
terracotta.
of flyers in here in the summer.
Can't be a terracotta pot.
Okay.
And it can't have nutrition in the soil. So like I don't know, your cocoa husk, you said it doesn't have any kind of nutrition. And that might work.
That doesn't. This table has a bunch of soil, and it has biochar in there.
Yeah.
I've got some mycelium in there. That's got a lot of nutrients.
It burns the plant to death. You just can't do it.
I think that's what I almost did with. Oh, I meant to take a picture of Phyllis, and there was a video I actually didn't even play earlier. Let's see if I can find it real quick. The only house plant that I have is a philodendron, and I don't know what I did to her, but she started dying, and what I think happened is I transplanted her into like potting soil that had too much nutrients.
Yeah.
So let me pull it back up. Oh, son of a gun, I hit the wrong button. We're going to be closing, we got 5 minutes. Okay. Let me show you this real quick before we get out of here.
Well, and I got one more thing to talk about too.
Okay. I do want to show your website as well. So
okay.
Let's pull this back up and show this little video that I forgot to show. Just kind of walking around the area. You can see she's looking nice. She's loving life. And there's the table. I think I did show, I show a little bit of Phyllis. There's a bunch of microgreens I didn't plan for. That was where I was putting my scraps.
Yeah.
And I had a bunch of radishes that were dead and dying, and they had seed pods on them, and I just crunched them all up and put them in the soil there. And now I got a whole bunch of radishes growing. But there's Phyllis. She's got one good leaf left on her. I stopped watering her with any kind of nutrients, and she's
coming back,
holding strong where she's at. I don't know if she's coming back yet.
You can't water Venus flytraps with anything but distilled water.
Oh.
Or rainwater. They want no.
That is crazy.
They want no nutrition.
Because I used well, it's not distilled water, but it's RO water, which is empty.
RO would probably work, but yeah, they don't like it.
You see this pepper plant's being held up now because I had mice in here a couple months ago, and that's why a bunch of mice traps back behind there. But I haven't seen any in a long time. No traps were being tripped, but they were coming in. They were coming at my pepper plants at first unnoticeably, and then they just destroyed the bottom portion. So now all the tops are still okay, or at least the top of this plant, and it's super heavy. So I had to have something tie it up but it's still producing. So there it is. But all right, you said you had one other thing.
Oh yeah, so I want to talk about vaccines too. So there's been a major breakthrough with vaccines for honeybees. Their immune system doesn't work anything like ours. We cover it. So you care if I plug the podcast too?
Yeah.
So I have a podcast called Beekeeping Buddies.
Beekeeping Buddies.
Yep, it's me.
On Spotify. Check it out.
It's all over. But me and my friend Steve have been doing it. We're in season 2 right now. But we actually had a guy from a place called Dallin Animal Clinic that developed a vaccine for honeybees. Honeybees' immune system works totally different than ours. So it's not like they're changing the genetic information in the bee. Like none of that happens. So you basically feed the queen a dead virus, and she has to be fed because she actually doesn't feed herself. So they feed the bee a dead virus that actually gets down into
like a dropper or something.
No, it's a sugar mixture, fondant. So you have to feed them for like a week, and then that allows their immune system to recognize that as a virus. And then what ends up happening is that because they recognize it as a virus, she can spread that to your progeny. And so one of the diseases is called AFB, American Foulbrood. It's like the plague for bees. It melts them, and then it's made off of a spore. And once it gets into a hive, you have to burn the hive. Ooh. Right? Like that's the fix. The fix is you test for it. If that's what it is, you burn the hive.
Wow.
And so anyway, so
you don't have to. You test all the hives around it as long as they don't test.
No, you burn. Well, yeah. So it used to be that you burned the apiary. You burned every hive in that apiary. Now they've changed. They roll it back. So now it's just you burn the hive that's found in.
I wonder if maybe that has been that's not a good thing.
They test that really closely. Okay. Like that's really super watched throughout the United States.
How would you test that? Like just test different bees in the hive?
No, well you take a Q-tip and you squish it into a dead cell that has larvae in there, and you swish it around, you pull it out, and then you send it to a lab. You can culture it. I have a friend locally that's a veterinarian, so they teach you how to test, how to slide for that specific bacteria.
How to look at it under.
Yeah, because it's a spore that turns into a bacteria.
That's
so it's
confusing to me. A spore is kind of a
hard-shelled seed, right?
Yeah. Well, I think of mushrooms too, mushroom spores.
Yeah.
So
it's a spore, so it can last. The reason why you have to burn the hive is because it can last in that hive forever.
Wow.
Right? Because it's
it melts the bees, you said?
Yeah, basically they melt as they're developing.
Every time I talk to you, you bring me some other scary thing that bees have to deal with, like the mites last time.
Yeah.
We get up underneath there and we watch that video where they gotta like pull the parasite out. Yeah. Oh man. I mean, I don't know if that was you I watched it with, but I saw this video where they were able to get it between the layers in the bee's back and pull this long parasite.
Well, no, they're usually like little beetle-looking guys. They look like ticks. Yeah. But yeah, that's a varroa mite, varroa destructor mite. There's a new one coming in. Probably it's actually over in China and Ukraine and Russia area called it's a different mite. It's called a AAA lapse mite.
A new one.
Yep, that one actually has about a 90% kill rate in about 30 days. So
I wonder if it kills so fast that it keeps itself from spreading.
No, it spreads. No, it spreads. Really,
you know what I mean? They're like some viruses that kill too fast.
Yeah,
that's why they don't spread across the whole world. But I guess it's different when it's a mite. They can probably live longer than a virus outside a host.
Yeah. So they're a totally different beast. It's really scary for me as a beekeeper in the United States because I really want to keep that out.
There's no preventative. It sounds like.
Well, as long as we don't bring hives over from other countries overseas, we should be fine.
Do you ever see a time where, let's imagine like a post-apocalyptic scenario. Okay. The bees, it's so toxic outside. We can't let them out. We talked about indoor bees, but could you ever imagine a time where they are so environmentally controlled because of things like you're talking about, the mites and the spores, where you literally grow flowers inside and have kind of like a cannabis room that's so scientifically dialed in, it's just to keep the bees alive.
So I think that
like a seed vault where we have all, keep a few of them alive.
I don't think so. I think what will end up happening is, and there's some
genetically modified.
We'll genetically modify bees. So some of the big companies out there that already do the genetic modified corn and stuff, Monsanto. I guess I can say Monsanto. But Monsanto actually is working on genetically modifying bees so that they're resistant to the pesticides.
Who makes glyphosate?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're look, we'll fix it. We'll fix the bees.
Yeah. So they're genetically modifying the bees so that they're more resistant to that, and so that then they can also trademark the genetic marking on them so that they own them.
Yep.
Right.
Just like seeds when they do that.
Just like seeds. So that's what's happening. That's been going on
and then they can replace all the bees because of their pesticides killing the other bees. Well, and then you're forced to purchase their bees,
and they swarm. Wow. And so you pick up a wild swarm out in the field, but it's got their genetics on it.
That's ours.
Yep,
that's insane. Yeah. You don't seeds are
that's a tinfoil hat. That's my tinfoil hat.
I can totally see it because seeds are one thing, and yes, they connect the genetics of if you're on a big farm, you are connected pretty heavily to your seed company and the genetics and stuff. So yeah, that's insane. The glyphosate issue has been being raised even higher, but hopefully it gets under control some way. But yeah, that sounds insane. That sounds like the medical industry prescribing the thing that causes the sickness so that they can prescribe the cure, and that's again not every person, not every time, but we know this stuff happens, so why wouldn't it happen with bees? I mean, that's kind of crazy to think of because I think if you want to think nefariously, conspiratorially for a second, control the food supply, you control the people.
Oh yeah.
But there's another layer to that that's a little deeper than just controlling the food.
Yep.
Now you control the pollinators that the food all relies on. Like there's not much else. You can't control the oxygen or the carbon dioxide to the plants. Hell, we're feeding the plants more carbon dioxide. I mean, if we want to get in, we won't get into that too deep, but we literally pump CO2 into our greenhouses because the plants can thrive more from more. And it's been shown to say that the earth is in a sort of drought or actually a low end of CO2 parts per million right now. And so they're looking at that going, well, there's nothing there we can control. They're just making it better by burning things. And so they thought pollinators, man, wow. I don't know.
The pollinators are in trouble. If you take nothing else away from this show, it's the pollinators are in crisis right now.
Does anybody breed other pollinators?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Like, what can you name a couple? Like, obviously, there's other bees. There's like wasp and bees that
bumblebees. There's bumblebees. There's tons of people that breed butterflies, all kinds of stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But realistically, like if you want to be like small, you want to be on like the small side of things and help with pollinators, like you can buy pollinator houses. All you have to do is change those reeds every year so that you don't spread diseases. They're like little square houses. It looks like they've got these little reeds in them. Mm-hmm. The pollinators will go through and they'll lay eggs in there, usually solitary bees. You get all kinds of different sizes. And they're
next to other things, other organisms inside of it?
Yeah. Other bees. Other bees.
Chill in there. It's like a halfway house for
bees.
It's
a hotel. It's a bee hotel is what they usually call it. So yeah, you can do that too.
Wow.
But you have to replace them every year, so you can't just leave it.
So guys, I want to leave you with the website, riverviewroadapiary.com. I also would like to show the Spotify before we leave too. If you want to hear a lot more in-depth conversations on bees, I had it pulled up. Oh, there it is.
There it is. Yep.
So yeah, I'll pull that up in a second. But yeah, check out the website. You can order not just honey, but all sorts of products.
Yep. Classes.
Do the classes, and that's online or in person?
In person, yeah, because too many classes are not. You don't get hands-on.
Yeah.
And you just can't pick up everything. So that's a nucleus. That's a nuke that we're selling. So
you can buy that to start your
bees.
Yeah.
Beehive. Yep.
Isn't that's not the same thing I held, was it?
No, you held a frame of that.
Just a frame. Okay.
One frame out of one of those.
Oh, I'm looking at this way wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
To me, it looked like one thin.
Nope.
Thing.
So
it's actually
you're looking down from the top.
Gotcha.
That's probably about 30,000 bees or so.
Wow.
One queen in there.
Where are the products at? I want to go check out the products. Okay, here you go. You've got the beeswax candles, the beeswax lip balm, the hand lotion, the painted beehives. Oh, I didn't know you made painted beehives.
Oh yeah, click on it. It's real pretty. I have a local artist that paints them, custom paint them.
So you buy them and then have them already ready, or you do them custom for people?
I'll do them custom for people or do already ready. That one's already ready. So that one won first place at the North American Honeybee Expo.
They do a competition for that at the
Expo.
Yeah. Yep. Where was that at?
It was Georgia.
When did you go?
A couple months ago.
With you sometime. That'd be cool.
It's huge.
Or something. That would be fun. There's the candles. No, so I wanted to just look back at that list here.
Yeah, to the top. The honeybee stewardship. That's if you wanted a hive on your property that I take care of. You keep the honey. I come to your property and take care of the bees.
And they just pay you for it?
Yeah.
Has anyone ever been like, can I pay you in the honey?
Yeah.
Or no?
So I'll buy back the honey at basically $5 a pound, roughly. A hive will make about 30 to 60 pounds of honey a year. It's it's for my time. So I basically make about 24 trips out to your place, right, a year. And I also
or how much?
Huh?
How many pounds you said? 30 to 60?
30 to 60.
28 trips for 30 to 60 pounds. How much? What would this be?
That's a pound.
That's a pound. Okay.
Yeah, and then
doesn't seem like a lot, but you're probably making trips with like a bunch of
absolutely.
places. Yeah.
Yeah, every day of the week I actually have a different route.
Events.
Yep.
What
I
events
think it's empty right now.
Just for if you have something.
Yeah, if I have events. And then beekeeping, that's my podcast.
Okay,
you can see it there too.
Yeah, cool. That makes it easier because I don't have to reshare it.
Yep.
So yeah, you can see this on anywhere you get it's audio, correct?
It's audio. Audio, no video.
So anywhere audio podcasts are. See, I was looking into getting on Spotify, but I guess video is first of all, I couldn't figure out how to put videos on the Spotify. It's not the same.
No,
so I haven't got into it enough, but it is a different beast. And I think since I do video, I don't know if I'm going to go there, but yes, you can.
Yeah.
I use it to watch Joe Rogan, so I know it's a video platform, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's actually on Spotify. We're on Apple. We're on all there's about.
I can't think of any others. Spotify, Apple. You've got
YouTube.
A bunch of smaller podcast places. YouTube. Oh, you're on YouTube?
Yep.
What do you just put this picture or something?
So that's all of our podcasts are on there, and then every once in a while we'll throw up the video. So there's a video of us doing a cutout on YouTube.
Makes sense.
And then I do information hey, this is how you make fondant, feed your bees, or this is I'll throw up one here from today that's about 10 minutes of bees coming and going, just from the hive.
You could do time lapse too.
Yeah,
time lapse. Yeah,
I've done time lapse before. The coming and going is pretty awesome, just because you can see them carrying pollen and stuff.
2014.
Yep. Yeah, 11 years.
Well, definitely go check it out, guys, and check out all the awesome products. And you can win the first Sunday of every month. You could try to win a little bit of money for the website over there from the Indoor Farmer Game Night. Just wanted a great show. Okay, yeah, thanks, Stuart. Microgreens. We're gonna have to have you come back on too and kind of school me on what I'm doing wrong again. I think after he told me that was mold, I thought, I think he told me this last time, and I just sprayed it down with. And again, those broccoli plants are from that, so it's it can come back. I'll have to do that right after this, actually. But yes, thank you again, man. I do appreciate it. We didn't get to
have me on for bees.
We didn't get to our door prize, but I like to talk to you anyway. Shouts out to the Rumble. We're still sitting there 12 strong on the Rumble, guys. Hit that like button if you haven't yet. We're all over the internet because it's hard to get seen out there for people that are doing work in life and then making a show out of that. The time that a lot of these creators online have for editing and creating all this really creative editing stuff where extra I don't know if professional is the right word, but very highly edited content, I guess. It takes 6 months of work and bring it down. Those of us who are doing the work in real life, it's hard to do that because we're taking pictures, I'm taking video and stuff of what I'm doing, but then showing it to you guys and not having the time in the middle there. So there's some people that are so successful online, but all they have to do is look at what other people are talking about online and then talk about that. I know. Let me just comment on what they commented on, and boom, they're crazy. But it's been fun. We'll see you guys later. We'll see you tomorrow night, 8:30 Central Time. I actually don't have a business to review for tomorrow yet, so I'll have to find something, but we'll do that for the Indoor Farmer Reviews tomorrow night. They turned me on to a few things last week. I went to the Wink House. You ever been to the Wink House in Peoria?
Local?
Yeah, it's in Peoria. It's up right by Kellogg Golf Course off of Willow Knolls there.
Okay.
And they have I think she's 100 vendors in that place of just all sorts of different stuff. Bring the wife. It's there's not a whole lot of man stuff there. A couple things, but it was pretty fun. Fun.
All right.
Anything you want to shout out before we get out of here?
Nope. Just if you guys have questions or anything, I'm always happy to answer. So you can always contact me on the website. If you're interested in being a beekeeper, you want to go to classes, I still have openings in my class. If you want to just join a local club, there's the Heart of Illinois Beekeeping Association, which is local. So
Heart of Illinois Beekeeping Association. Yep. I should join that. Yeah, check it out.
All right.
Remember, everybody's got to eat.
Yeah, everyone's got to eat.
Honey's really good for you. Good night, guys. Have a good night.
Yeah, this is for my green thumbs in the game. Wailing the Indoor Farmer. Check my name. Sustainability, we about to reclaim. This is how we do it, keep it in the frame. I'm Wailing the Farmer, the Indoor King. Living off the grid, what the city can't bring. Got my hydro setup, my LED lights. Growing all my greens, all through the night. Self-sustain, that's the mission. Growing my own, I'm not missing. Indoor farming,